Good morning, Sam.
Good evening, Mallory.
Welcome back to Nobody Leaves, the podcast where we are eternally trapped with each other forever. What you been watching lately, Sam? What you been playing? What you been getting into?
I have failed my homework, even though this is not my week. I've still not fought Undyne again. I'm too scared. So Undertale just remains kind of downloaded on my hard drive forever because it's like 20 megs or whatever. Otherwise, I have watched The Brutalist since we last talked, which is 4 hours long and has an intermission, which was a commitment of a movie to watch in theaters, but I liked it. And otherwise, I've just been playing a lot of Balaltro, which I'm still trying to figure out how to make you play for this podcast.
Balaltro. No, that
yes,
doesn't sound like a word.
Balatro, Joker game, card game.
The Joker's in this game. Oh,
The Joker like 17 times.
The the Batman Joker.
The Jonkler. No, the Joker as in like the face card or the not face card. I don't know what you call it. The playing card.
Not interested.
It's a game about poker. Which
I think
I know you have a
this to me,
deep
actually.
love for. Yeah.
Well, no, I played poker at like the board game bar that I go to occasionally, and I won, and I got like it wasn't like real money, like it was just like playing, but it was like I got like the coolest thing that you could get. Like it wasn't the, because there's the highest thing you can get, right?
Right, which is like a shitty
the best
speaker.
One. No. What do you mean?
You won the plastic hands that like make noise when you shake them.
No. I'm not talking about prizes in an arcade. I'm talking about poker, like the cards, like the suits, it's like if you get like a jack and a queen and a king all in a row, that's good, right?
You need 2 more cards there, but yes.
Right. Yeah. But you understand what
you got it straight.
Yeah, but I got like the best one, second best one possible.
Straight.
It was like a royal straight or a royal flush or something.
It's probably a royal flush.
And it was all the like jack, queen, king, however many you need to get to 5. That's what I got.
10 jack, queen, king, ace, all the same suit is a royal flush.
And and on that hand I went all in. And then I got this other guy to go all in, because he's like, I love to gamble. And then I just took all of his chips and won. And everyone was like, wow, Mel, you're really smart and we're good at board games.
Did you know what hand you had when you played it?
I definitely went all in way earlier than I could have reasonably expected to have like a roll. I definitely had like multiple high cards in my hand and was like, I'm going all in. Just because, like, I think it was more, I think the part of poker that is accessible to me is, like, the bluffing and, like, I do like those kinds of games because, like, I'm good at, like, picking up on, like, okay, this person's, like, a coward and, like, fighting, or picking up on, like, oh, this person's stupid and they're just gonna go with whatever I say. I feel like I'm decent at that, and that's, like, how I got good, but, like, I definitely had, like, the little... Like, they had, like, a card that had an explanation of, like, what all of the different things are. Like, I definitely was religious, like, just, like, grasping that the whole time.
I feel like you would be, you'd be, like, the ultimate boss in poker because you don't know how to play, or you don't know that well how to play. So I feel like trying to read you would be very difficult because it's like, I'm going all in. What do you have? Pair of 2s. 2 of the same card. That's never been done before. Like, that's how I feel like it would be like to play you in poker.
Exactly. It's like it's the same as like Among Us. Like, I did really good in the early days of Among Us because I didn't know any of the rules or like understand what people were talking about, and it gives me that edge of like, oh, like Mal doesn't know what she's talking about. I can like
can't catch her in a lie if she doesn't know how to play.
Yeah, I can't lie if I'm too stupid to understand what's happening. Yeah, that's my poker experience. So I don't know, a poker-based game may sound interesting, and the Joker's cool.
In typical fashion, like, all I want to recommend you are things that take like 400 hours to really dig into. Like, I'm going to recommend Balatro or Persona or Stardew Valley, and it's like, these are all games that take many, many, many hours to get into.
Yeah, I do. I mean, Persona and Stardew Valley are both games that like seem like they're up. Everyone in my life has told me, much in the way that you might say, all the important people of your life might be like, I think you're an alcoholic. All the important people in my life have been like, you need to play Persona.
I think you're. It's very similar. Yeah.
Yeah, but just in a way, out of concern that I haven't played Persona.
Hand on the shoulder. I think you're a Persona fan. You just don't know it yet.
Yeah, yeah. I would classify myself as a Persona fan in a sense.
Yeah, that game series kind of ruined my life for like 3 years because I didn't play anything else, and now I'm like, I don't want to touch anything similar for a while.
No, I feel like I those are all stuff, but yeah, no, it is definitely a tough limitation of this podcast, and we have like a break coming up where I get to do a big rec, which I'm definitely like, okay, this is one of my ones, but I definitely also want to like try to build, because I've gotten 2 of those nice breaks now. I've gotten Undertale and I'm getting this feature one, so we definitely need to like build one in at some point to make sure that you get to like do one of your big recs to me, because
yes, I have an idea. I have a 24 episode series in mind that I'm like, at some point I'm just gonna drop this ball or drop the hammer down, like, you have to watch this now.
No, 24 episode series are tough because there's some
in a week,
there's some good stuff that I feel like I will have weeks here and there where it's like I can go in, like I can just wake up and watch whatever it is you're gonna make me watch. So
well, yeah, it's only tough if you don't like it, right? If you like it, it's like, oh, I finished that in like 4 days.
Totally. Speaking of taking forever to finish something, is what I've been watching this week was Arcane. I spent like 2 weeks, I spent like 2 months trying to get through the first 2 episodes because they're very exposition heavy, and like it's one of those like episode 3's the thing where it kind of kicks off the plot, but it's like it was really hard for me because I was like, there's just not a direction that I really see things going. It's just kind of like showing stuff. Like I just didn't feel the energy. I'm like, this is good. I'm being like very much in the Persona way. I'm being shaken and told you need to watch this. My like friend was just really like, there are lesbians, you need to watch it.
But the lesbians don't come in until episode 3. No,
exactly. It's like, but the lesbians. But yeah, like, I finally got through the second episode, which I feel like I've been watching it in like 3 to 5 minute increments over like, because it would take that long before I would like be like, oh, I need to do something else. And then once I got over that hurdle, I watched the whole first season into like starting the second season in like a day, because I was just so like, I was like, this is crazy, this is wild.
I have also had a lot of trouble getting into Arcane. I watched the first episode twice over 2 years and have not seen it since.
Watching the first episode twice is rough.
Well, it took like a whole year to be like, well, I want to watch the second episode, but I don't remember what they did in the first episode.
I feel that, but yeah, it's the first 2, they are really hard, and I feel like on rewatch I'm gonna be like, oh, the foreshadowing, right? But it's just one of those where it just doesn't have enough of a like thrust of like, this is what we're really going after.
It's a lot of setup, which is fine, but it's like, I don't really care about League of Legends, so this world's not like jumping out at me yet.
Exactly. But this isn't about Arcane.
No, it is not. You're not dressed in like red or blue hair with like a metal arm.
I don't have my like undercut like pink like I didn't suddenly get super jacked.
No, we're not listening to Imagine Dragons, are we?
It's time to stop making sense.
That was horrible.
That was awesome.
I got a tape I want to play.
I've done something bad in recommending this. I've put a lot of pressure on you because this is probably the thing I like the most that fits this format, right? Let me take you back 2 years ago. It's a random 10:30 at night. Sam wants to go see a movie. Sam sees movies like every week. And the only thing playing that I haven't seen is an A24 remaster of a concert film of a band that I don't really care about. And I walked out of that theater a changed man. This movie kind of destroyed me and completely caught me off guard. We're talking about Stop Making Sense, the concert film of a tour done by the band The Talking Heads in like 1983-ish. And for reasons that I still can't quite explain and that I will try to get deeper on in this podcast, this is like a top 5 film for me. This is like a Letterboxd 4 for me. I like it so much, and so I'm putting all the pressure in the world on you to like it as well. And if you don't like it, we won't be friends anymore, but we'll still make the podcast.
Yeah.
So Mallory, what did you think of Stop Making Sense?
It is Make It Break. So you're saying this is like the thing that is within the constraints of this format that is like if you were making tiers right now, this would outrank everything. Is that?
Yes, this would outrank everything we have covered so far and everything I can conceivably pitch to you in the future. Because also there's things I really like you and I have also already like shared with each other prior to this podcast.
Right.
Like things that are like much longer and don't fit the format. But also I really, really, really like this movie.
I think that like it's because what viewing audience may not know is that I tend to be infamous for saying this is my favorite thing of all time about virtually everything I watch and like. But Sam doesn't. So Sam's saying like this is the best, this is the cream of the crop. Like that carries weight in a way that it wouldn't carry weight coming from me. So
it's been a long time since I think the last time something entered a top 5 of a genre, right? Like my top 5 movies or games or TV or whatever was Nier Automata, which is also something I can't pitch on this show because it's like a 45-hour RPG. Like that cracked my top 5 games, right? This cracks my top 5 movies, like without a doubt. And I have not had that happen in many, many, many years.
It's also interesting, like, because one thing, we had, like, the briefest of conversations about this off the air midweek after my first watch. And one thing, because I think I mentioned, like, I think I phrased it like I listened to it or something, or like, I saw the songs or something like that. And you were like, it's a movie. And you said that again there. And that's very interesting to me as well, that it's like the format that this is categorized, because I definitely watch a lot of concert performances on YouTube, and I have watched like hour-long ones, but I guess because they're on YouTube, I never thought of them as like movies in that way. And I know that like obviously the cinematography is like very unique and different, and that might be like a big contributor of like why you're putting it that. But I'm curious about that. Basically, is what I'm saying.
Yes, Stop Making Sense, the live deluxe album, is not one of my favorite albums of all time. Stop Making Sense, the film by Jonathan Demme, is one of my favorite films of all time. And that's a weird distinction. But
I mean, it's
explain.
a fair one. It's I feel like this is going to be, have you seen the there's a new Lonely Island video in 2024, or I guess it's 2025 now, but I think it came out last year, like near the end.
I have not seen a current Lonely Island video in like 5 years.
They made this video, and it's called Sushi Glory Hole. That is completely besides, like, that's just like the premise.
Sure.
The main reason why it's a good video is because there's a part, they're like pitching Sushi Glory Hole to like the sharks or whatever. And there's just a part of the song where they go, hear us out, 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 for like a really long time. Like the majority of the song is hear us out, hear us out. I feel like that's what This is going to be a lot of us doing that back and forth to each other for 10
If I can't get you to love this movie by the end of the podcast, I will commit suicide live on air. Like, that's where we're at, you know?
He's
I don't
joking.
make the rules.
Listen, okay, so we're really beating around the bush, but I think people who are picking up on the subtext. I didn't like this very much, and I'll show you. But I went through like a lot of phases with this because I think it's really boring to not like something, and I also I feel like it's necessary to talk about like my attitude towards like music criticism in a way, because like yes, we're looking at it as a movie, but like also the music part is obviously a big part of it. And if we're gonna be making a podcast where we're talking about music, I feel like I have weird opinions on music. My attitude towards music, I kind of don't believe in bad music broadly. I think that like so much of music is like you have to listen to it more and then you will like it. And there's so many songs where like I think I used to have a little bit more of a like attitude towards music where I was like, I don't like this genre, or I don't like this artist is bad or whatever, kind of an elitist attitude that I think a lot of teenagers have because you're kind of like defensive or insecure about your own opinions or tastes or whatever. But I realized like, oh, if you listen to songs ironically, you will just start liking them. And if you listen to songs that you don't like, you will start liking them. And so that's me going like, I feel like I can't just be like, oh, this is like not good music because it didn't like hit me that well, because I feel like if I go to a live concert, generally I try to listen to the music before I go to the concert because that always enhances the experience. Like the more familiar I am with the music, the more appealing it's going to be when I hear it live on a stage. Like if I'm in line for a concert and I'm by myself, I'm listening to the music on my like earpods or whatever, but I wanted to have you described your experience of this, of like going into a theater and only knowing like 3 Talking Heads songs.
Yeah, so I knew the heavy hitters, right? So I knew Burning Down the House, I knew Psycho Killer, and I knew Once in a Lifetime. Like I was familiar with those songs, but other than like hearing them like as you do just over a lifetime, because they're just those songs that just play all the time. Like Psycho Killer, I feel like plays at every Halloween party or every like Halloween playlist for years and years and years. So it's like, all right, well, I know that song exists.
Yeah, I basically wanted to recreate that experience for myself. So I got my nice little speaker out. I set it up on my laptop. I had my cup of cocoa and my cookies, and I was like, all right, wow me, boys. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to search it. I also knew 3 songs. I didn't know Burning Down the House, or I was like less, like I probably heard it, but I was less familiar. And I was a lot more familiar with Take Me to the River, like that one.
With their version of it, or just the song in general?
I think the song in general, so I don't know whether it was their version or not.
I gotcha.
And, you know, I'm going to, speaking of the river, I'm going to cast this stone down the river.
Why are you so nervous, Mallory?
But but the other song I was the most familiar with is, of course, Genius of Love by the Tom Tom Club, which is one of my favorite songs of all time. So I did know that one. But we're not going to talk about that. I do want to introduce you to my notes. I'm not going to read. I feel like I can scroll through these as a reference to specific songs, but I feel like if I just read them all, it would be pretty boring. But I had like some choice highlights that I feel like best summarize my first viewing experience, and then I have a second viewing experience because I did try to watch it twice within my. I watched it one time, like no context.
We talked, and I put the fear of God in you, and you watched it a second time.
No, that's the thing. My attitude towards music, I was already like listening to it in preparation for my second watch, because that's my attitude towards music criticism. Like, I feel like you can't just like listen to a thing once and be like, you know, because like, so that was my thing. But yeah, this is a summary of my notes. Before I start watching it, I say out loud to myself, damn, I better like this. I'm enjoying Psycho Killer, because I do have that on my iTunes. I do like that song. Then we hit Heaven is a Place, and I just have written uh-oh. Then there's just a lot of kind of like complaining, writing notes to kind of stay focused, like in a way, because I don't have someone to talk to in the room about it, so I'm just like writing notes to keep myself awake. I started like dancing to keep myself awake and focused. At one part I wrote, the lyrics might just make me tired. At another part I wrote, I wish they hadn't already played Psycho Killer, because I want to be looking forward to that. And then towards the end I said, this was healthy for our relationship. And then I said, I'm so tired. And then after I finished watching it, I got a big burst of energy.
Because
so
the movie was
I
over?
was sleepy tired. Yeah, it was like a little bit of ADHD type thing where I was like, I can't engage. Second watch, like I listened to it several times. I got like a couple more of the songs in my head, like other than the ones I already knew. Second time I watched it, I was like, okay, this time I'm giving myself permission to like do other stuff and like glance at the screen occasionally. That was a lot more pleasant for me. I feel like it was like, because I could just pay attention at the parts that I like, and yeah, like I started liking a lot more songs after that, and then I listened to it like just on and off throughout the week. Yeah, so I don't know. That's just the broad strokes. We can go into the specifics, but
you have
that
fallen
was
into my trap, defendant in this courtroom.
Have I defeated myself in some way?
I have a theory about why I like this movie so much, because I can't really explain it. And I saw it that first time. I took friends to go see it. I saw it in IMAX. Like, it was out in theaters for like a month when the A24 re-release, and I saw it 3 times. And I brought people every time. And no one had the same reaction I did. People liked it generally, but also like no one was like gaga about it like I am. I think why I personally like it so much is that this movie has ruined concerts for me in general. Like, I am now of the opinion that concerts and live music is bad, because I think this is like a better version of it. But anyway, I'll get to that later. I think what I like about this movie so much is how stripped back it is as a concert, as a performance, as a look, right? Everyone's wearing beige. It looks like it's filmed in like a gymnasium, like it's like the most boring stage of all time. It's just like staging blocks and instruments and people who all look like a magazine ad from the 80s. Like, it's just very there's some eccentricities here and there among the cast, the band, what have you.
I noted all of them.
Yes, there's some weird looks and some is David Byrne an alien moments here and there, but for the most part, like, it is super stripped back. It is just about the music and the very, very simple lighting of like, we're gonna switch the lighting to red, we're gonna switch the lighting to blue, it's gonna be white. It's going to start with one performer on stage. You're going to go from a guitarist and a singer and like really strip back to like 2 guitarists, to 2 guitarists and a drummer, to 2 guitarists, a drummer, and some backing singers, blah, 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 blah. This is like the anti-TikTok movie, which I know it's popular to be pro-TikTok right now. Don't get me wrong. But this movie...
Shout out DT...
Yes, thank you, glorious leader, for restoring TikTok.
Thank you.
Here's $100 million to your inauguration. Yeah.
So crazy.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, I guess I am anti-TikTok now. So I guess
so.
In light of recent news, I am now anti-TikTok. So I guess I am pro this movie. Yeah. All right, continue to sell me on it.
Every song is like 6 minutes long. I get zoning out. I get being distracted. I get being like, this guitar riff's kind of going for a while. But I think that was like the exact experience I needed or wanted when I spend most of my life watching streamer highlights, or everything has an analysis. Everything is a meta commentary on something else. Like, modern media and I have to have a talk because I can't separate the things I watch from the things that they are surrounded by, right? I'm comparing anime to anime of the last decade and a half I've been watching, right? Or like to itself or to its adaptation of a different source material. Like I'm too in my head in that like critical analysis mode with pretty much everything I watch. I watch like 40 movies a year at the theater. I'm thinking about how they fit into like the 2024 conversation or the 2025 conversation. This director, how this piece reflects on that piece. This movie is separated from all of that because I had never heard of it. I don't really know much about Jonathan Demme. Like I've seen Silence of the Lambs, which is like his most famous movie, but otherwise he's a mystery to me. And I think the camera in this movie is very like, I don't want to go so far as to say it's very objective because it obviously is making choices, but it feels pretty invisible. And so you strip back so much in this film to where it's just performers, instruments, music, and you're alone with your thoughts, kind of. And every song is like 6 minutes long, like I said. And to me, that I felt like I was healing. I felt like I was getting away from minute-long, like, Mr. Beast style editing. This movie feels very anti-internet to me in a way that is appreciated in a time where I'm watching YouTube shorts for like an hour a day and like my brain's going to mush, and I think everyone's brain's going to mush a little bit. And so that to me is such a contrast from everything else I watch. And so it jumped out at me as like a very like, yeah, I really liked that experience. I want to recreate it as much as possible, which is probably ruining the experience itself.
Soiling it. Exactly.
The music to me did not jump out as much as the vibe when I first watched it. It has that feeling of being at a concert and just like kind of getting like washed away in the music, right? And I think it did help that it was music I wasn't very familiar with. So there's that like a little bit of excitement there of trying to like decipher the songs. But the songs themselves feel hard to decipher, not because they're complex, but because they're so simple, right? The lyrics are more just like vibes. Like it's vaguely anti-establishment. It's vaguely like anti-conformity, but there's not a ton. It's vague. Yeah, there's not a ton there. But that is a style of art, right? Is to make, it's like a painting of a red square, right? You're just going to take a look at it and come up with your own conclusions and how it, like, what it evokes in you. And for whatever reason, this group of people, at the height of their talents, I think the music's very good. I don't want to undersell that. It's really exciting to watch like 7 or 8 people just completely harmonize together and seem to be both unscripted and also like immaculately choreographed, yeah, performing
ways, like there is an order and a structure to things, but then within that there's like a lot of freedom and improvisation and just like weird stuff kind of going on.
And so now when I watch it, I'm sitting there going, I just finished rewatching it again this morning. I've watched it twice this week. There's a moment in the last song played, Cross-Eyed and Painless, where like the noise cuts out. Like they all stop playing their music for a second as like an effect, right? That's something a lot of songs do. But David Byrne grabs the guitarist nearest to him's neck of his guitar instead of him grabbing his own guitar to mute it. And it's like, was that planned? Has that always been a bit, or is it just something he did on the night, right? Like it's hard to tell. And in a movie that is this slow, like low stimulation, I feel like you are allowed to like let your mind wander, and then it circles back into like being like, wow, I'm really appreciative of this music, of these performers, of what it takes to. I'm not musical myself. Like I can't imagine like being in sync with people for this long, for this 90 minutes or what have you, and for like each individual performance. It feels like magic. and this movie like makes me think about music in a different way because I was forced to like sit and just think about performing for 90 minutes.
That is very interesting. I feel like, because I can already see like differences in like our like base, like what we're like familiar with and not, that probably like affects like how we like interpreted or interacted with the movie. Because like I think like one thing that like came up when you were talking was about like, you know, like the vagueness of the lyrics and the and like, because I'm immediately drawn in by the title "Stop Making Sense," right? Like I think that I was really thinking about how like a lot of stuff that I like is very vague and like abstract. Like I'm all about my red squares on the wall. I love my modern art museums. I love like a lot of like especially music that I listen to, and like poetry that I like reading is like very like just, you know, we're kind of like making a pastiche, and sometimes it's more about the images than it is any like meaning that you might derive from it or something. And like it's more about like the art form. Like it's like, okay, I have this melody, we just need some like cool sounding stuff to like stay on top of it. Like that's something that I'm very much like immersed in regularly, I feel like, or like that's like a lot of stuff that I'm really drawn to.
Oh, don't worry, Mallory. I'm under the table right now. I'm loading the gun of This Is Just Gorillas, a band that you and I both love. So
yeah,
continue.
Well, like I mean like absolutely. So that was like a big thing for me, is because I was kind of looking at it and I was like really trying to, because when you don't like something, I feel like it's really important to be able to be like, what don't I like about it, you know what I mean? And
100%.
And challenge that too. Be like, why don't I like it? Am I having an irrational? I think my initial leading theory that I don't know if I've proven or disproven yet is that I just associate the Talking Heads with my dad, and I don't like my dad very much. So I think that like that was my like base theory of like why I maybe don't like it. I haven't been able to 100% rule it out, although I don't know if that's really like the reason. But like it's like important to figure that out, because if it is just like, oh, it's because I associate them with my dad, I think it's healthy to unlink those things so that I can enjoy the music. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I'm not satisfied with, oh, I'm just kind of like not vibing with this. Like I want to like dig in that kind of stuff. So the reason why I'm like, I feel weird about disliking this is it's like it checked so many of my boxes. It's like I like music that is a little bit more vibes and a little bit so like, you should brush your teeth and go to school, or like, you know what I like, it's like moralistic or the meaning's too obvious. Like I like a lot of music that's a little bit more abstract. I don't think that songs have to have a meaning necessarily. Not to say that like I think a lot of Talking Heads songs, like the more I did look into like lyrics and stuff, it's like, you know, like there's not nothing there, you know, like
you
like,
can make assumptions based on like a new wave band operating in the Reagan era in America and be like, yeah, I can guess where their heads were at the time.
Absolutely. So it's not to say that it's completely meaningless, but like, you know, it's I don't need the meaning to enjoy it. And then like in terms of the live music thing, like, because like my ideal, if I could do anything on a given day, I will go to like see live music. I love live music. That's like my favorite thing to do. I don't necessarily have the funds to do it all the time, but it's
Same
like
here.
If I'm gonna do something, like that's the thing that I want to do. I love seeing bands that I haven't seen before, and I love like music. Like I watch a lot of concerts like on YouTube when I do have free time. Like I love like musicality. I love bands. I'm not a huge like. I like performance. I like the pageantry. I love Sabrina Carpenter going down on the big, like, thing that's coming down on the stage of the VMAs,
Yes.
and like making out with an alien. But like when I see someone playing the drums and I'm like, oh, they got instruments on this one. Like that, I'm over the moon. Like, I love instruments a lot more than like, oh, they're just kind of playing like a pop track out of like a, big speakers. Like
they're playing, they're lip singing and having a DJ play it in the background. Yeah.
But I think that's also part of the thing. I think like probably I don't think I'm as starved for this kind of content, I guess, in that way. Because I feel like I do watch a lot of that, and I also think that I have an appreciation for pop stars lip syncing their songs in like dramatic performances. Like, I think that like, not to be like, oh, you're uncultured and you don't appreciate anything, but like, I think that like, that's probably a part of me not being like, this is not necessarily like a unique experience for me, but the point of the matter, I'm getting sidetracked. The point of the matter is to say like, all these elements are coming together. What is like not clicking about this?
Right.
Like, what do I not like? And the closest thing that I can figure out is I think I don't like his voice.
Okay. But you love quirked up white boys. What are we talking about here?
I know. Because I'm like, because part of me is like, okay, am I having an anti-white male bias? Because I have that sometimes. And I'm like, I don't even think it's that. There were multiple times where I wrote, oh, the singing is really good at this part. And then I would, after writing that, then realize, oh, that was the backup singers.
They jumped out to me. Every time I watch this, a different performer jumps out to me. I think the first 3 times I watched it, the backup singers in this are incredible. Like they're
the best.
They're so
eyeshadow.
funny and like beautiful, and they're even when they're in a song that they're not even performing in, like they're just dancing and not singing. They're like some of the most interesting people to watch on the stage.
The best part is when they're going like this, and he's doing the same thing, but he has the guitar.
And he looks like off and gangly compared to them or whatever.
Yeah, but they're so my favorite thing about them is one of them is like, I feel like I could relate to her a lot more because everything that's happening, she's just like grinning, like she's
just
like,
the biggest smile ever. Like I can't believe
down for whatever
this is working or whatever. Yeah.
The other one, like whatever weird stuff happens, she does have a kind of side eye, which really made me laugh. It really got me because I liked the contrast. But yeah, like I think because every time I was like, oh, I'm enjoying this part, I really liked all the jams. Like I liked whenever they're riffing and like just going off and playing and like improvising and
2 guitarists having like a face-off kind of.
Yeah. All of those parts, like all of a sudden the keyboard's going wild. Like all those parts were absolutely my favorite parts. I liked his dancing. I never would knock his dancing. I liked that it's weird and eccentric. I agree. Like I did read a lot about like stuff that David Byrne was saying about his like performances, and like read about different, like this is not necessarily a thing that is exclusive to this live performance. Like apparently he is just spurting around like doing all this stuff, and like he apparently said like he thinks it's really important that like live performances of music have a visual component.
Yes,
I like am inclined to agree. Like I think that like I think that it's more that it's just like a dimension that shouldn't be neglected, but I also don't believe in like absolutes in that sense. Like I think if you're just like, we're gonna come out and make things sound really good and we're not gonna look great, but like I think that like if you have the opportunity to be on a stage in front of people, like you should just go for it, vis-a-vis like
to me I said this has ruined live music for me. To clarify a bit, what have you heard people talk about how it seems like no one appreciates like the album anymore, where like every like new big album that comes out is like 3 really good singles, and then it's just like we're gonna phone it in for tracks 4 through 10 or what have you.
Yeah, well, I mean, because it's to do with like the way music is like consumed and distributed now, like the
Spotify, Apple Music effect of you're gonna hunt and peck for the singles you like, and you're not gonna do a full album listen throughs. And I'm the same way. I am completely guilty of that. I think everybody is, but I think that also
there's less incentive to even like make an album for a lot of artists. Like a lot of artists will be like, well, no one's gonna listen to it anyway, or oh, I can just press a button and get a song out here, like. So that has also changed things, I think.
Right. I feel the same way about that as I do with concerts, where I feel like concerts have gotten very samey in their style and structure, where it's not it doesn't feel like to be that much of a thought to it. It's like, we're going to launch with our third most popular song. We're going to play 2 to 5 songs that people like but are like kind of middling, and then we're going to do our number 1, number 2 hit, and then we're going to do an encore with like maybe a little bit of a weirder song, or maybe our biggest song, and then we're going to go home.
Yeah.
And that,
there are some concerts where you get through those first 2 to 3 songs and you are like,
you're in a wasteland until
slow.
like song 10.
It's time to go to the restroom cause yeah, that is very real, and like that's a real thing that happens a lot that sucks. But I don't think that it's man, I don't know if you watched the Chromacopia like performance on YouTube.
I have.
Like, yeah.
Tyler's doing it.
There are artists.
He's holding things up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and he does weird little wiggles, just like David Byrne.
David Byrne.
He's a spiritual successor.
You know where I'm still getting this feeling is in Tiny Desk concerts. I feel like everyone really thinks hard about how they want their Tiny Desk to happen, or how they want it to be structured. The good ones, at least. But those are also like 5 songs, so it's a little bit easier than doing a full concert set. But those always feel very intentional. I feel the intention behind it in a way that I don't with a lot of the concerts I see.
I mean, it's rough. I think that like you think about like concert conditions and stuff like that, and it's like if you're doing these like huge tours where you got to hit every city in the like continental United States, like I think that like it's hard to churn that out for certain artists. I think like expectations 100%. Are in a weird place sometimes, or it's like I think like someone like Tyler the Creator, I feel like tends to take the route where it's like, I'm not doing many performances, so you better come and see him, because they're all going to be really good, and like I'm going to have the energy to do all of them, but like their tickets are going to be expensive. Like I think that that also feels like connected to the internet music age in a way, because it's like the artists are, I don't know, I feel I have an image of the past that may never have really existed, but I have more of an image of like things being more localized, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like now like every English speaking artist has to tour the UK and Australia and New Zealand and the US, like I don't know. Like
it's like, man, I hope the album I really like is the national tour, not the international tour. Because if it's the international tour, I'll never see it. But if it's the national tour, what if it's like a mid album from them? I guess I'll have to go see it.
Yeah, no, totally. So, yeah, like just like I think I really appreciate. I can understand the things that are cool and unique about this, and you just
can't get into the music.
I don't know if it's the voice. Well, because I really went back and listened to like I've really been riding my bike around playing Pokemon Go and listening to this, to this album several times this week. And I did. What were the songs that I liked?
Yeah, I want to hear what jumped out at you, and then what songs like completely didn't work. Like I know that generally speaking, it sounds like the music didn't work for you, but I want to know like I want to hear a ranking a little bit.
Yeah. So I mean, Psycho Killer, I feel like is just a song that I've always listened to. It's on my Halloween playlist too. I like it a lot. And yeah, it's a really captivating, like, I think my hopes went really high when he starts with that, because I really like him walking around the stage with the guitar and then stumbling backwards and doing a little, like, that's cool.
Yeah, where he's completely alone except for a speaker and or like a boombox and a guitar and him, right?
Yeah. So I mean, like, Psycho Killer, I feel like probably even after the dust settles will remain to be my favorite. Burning Down the House, I had not really, if I have heard it before, I hadn't really listened to it many times, so that definitely, I was like, and I've learned that it was one of the hits, so that definitely got me. I've written making flippy floppy is nice. I wrote, found a job guitar is sick, but chorus sucks.
Find a job's one of my least favorite. Or found a job.
I don't even remember what the chorus was. But that I could have said that about a lot of songs, so I don't really know. I'll tell you the song that I dislike the most is the second song that they play, and it's
Heaven.
Heaven. And it's one of those songs. There's a song by indie artist Mike Kroll where he does the same thing, and it's not, and the other artists have also done this thing where sometimes a music artist is like, you know what'll really make this like artistic point is if we make the song really repetitive and bland and not have a lot of change ups, and it's like that's the point. And I'm like, that's a really cool like art piece. I'm not gonna listen to that ever again. That it really like knocks the wind out of my sails on like being the second song. I'm like, oh, so that. Not a fan of it. It's like yeah, the message is like, oh, heaven is perfect and never changes, like, so this song is gonna never change.
Be boring. Like, yeah.
Oh. I think okay, well, we have two roads are diverging in Yellowwood right now, and I'm sorry that we cannot travel both and be one traveler along.
Are we gonna do the Geniuses Love conversation, or are we gonna do something else?
We can travel both, actually. Okay. In this case, we can travel both roads, and we have to, and they're Once in a Lifetime and Genius of Love. Those are the two conversations that need to happen. So I don't know.
I have big problems with both of those songs. I am going to sound like such a poser because it's like, oh, I like Talking Heads, but I don't like Once in a Lifetime. I only like the not cool songs like Psycho Killer. Yeah, exactly.
I only like underground stuff like Psycho Killer
and Burning Down the House. Yeah, exactly. It to me, those are on both ends of parts of this I don't like. Genius of Love is so banal to me that I just get nothing out of it. Like, it is the sample and that's it. It's boring. I'm very bored listening to that part of it's like a fast forward part of the movie to me for sure. Where then Once in a Lifetime feels like there's so much meaning and statement injected into it that it kind of kills my enjoyment for the song, right? It's like, do you get it? We're making fun of, like, television preachers. Don't you get it? Isn't this so ennui? And I'm like, yeah, I get it. I may find myself in a shotgun shack or whatever.
We need to get Ennui on the pod from Inside Out 2. We need to get her in the...
Once in a Lifetime is like the song that they'll perform in like Trolls 4. You know what I mean?
Dude, Trolls 4?
I don't remember if we talked about this on the last podcast or after recording, but it is the song that people who don't think very critically of media, like, it's so obvious that they get it, and then they love it because it's like, I get what they're doing here. But also, I don't think deeply about anything. So it's like, so the fact that I'm getting it is like, oh, this is the most basic bitch thing ever.
Yeah, it's very Dunning-Kruger coded. I feel like it's like, okay, I feel like I want to go in deep rabbit holes on both. So which one do we? I'm gonna get more mad about the Tom Tom Club.
I want to hear about the Tom Tom Club.
Okay, you gotta walk around. Okay.
Girls get it done, y'all. Whatever the hell he said.
Girls get it done, y'all. Okay, he yells, "Girls get it done, y'all."
Girls can do it too. Girls can do it too.
Girls can do it too, y'all. I roll my eyes. Obviously, girls can do it so much better. I'm having so much fun in this part of the conversation. After it finishes, I take a break. I drink 2 full cups of water, and then I get really depressed because I see that there's half an hour left in the movie. And he literally he does like the Teletubby things where they like have to, you know how the Teletubbies have to run over the hill they goodbye and then they come back and then they're like goodbye and then they come back because like kids have such a hard time accepting that the Teletubbies are leaving. Like he's like, okay, we're the Tom Tom Club, but we got to turn back into the Talking Heads. And I was like, you don't have to. And then he's like, okay, goodbye everyone. Okay, this is what you got to do something bad. You gotta do something wrong.
You're not selling
And
me
then
on why you like this so much.
you do something
why you like this so much.
You do something bad. Okay, the recorded version, not the version on the Stop Making Sense. I didn't particularly listen to it. I did enjoy it, like when I watched in the video, but I didn't go back. I almost like skipped over it in the track list because I'm like, I know this song. I don't need to like further familiarize myself. But like you, and then you're free kind of, and then you go and you like walk around, and it's like. You know?
Yeah, but Mallory, like, I could just listen to Grandmaster Flash. I don't have to listen to Tom Tom Club.
I don't listen to Grandmaster Flash because I like this song. It's like... And then you get the guy on the mic who's going... It's like awesome, dude. It's so cool. And that's why I was really thinking... Like, that was my whole thing about, like... I think when things are random and vague... Yeah, I think I started that thought and didn't finish it. When things are random and vague and kind of, like, artsy and, like, what's your interpretation? A lot of, like, when there's no meaning, when you stop making sense, like, the aesthetic is kind of all that's left. And that's the thing that I was really thinking about when I was, like, thinking about the difference between, like, why I'm not feeling this. Like, I think at the end of the day, there is, like, a purely aesthetic level where that's like, not... There's no like right or wrong to like liking or disliking aesthetic, you know what I mean? Like
you're
that's
just not. I'm fucking like, hard with the aesthetic, and you're not, and that's just what it is.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. And there's nothing you can do about it. And I was citing that song as an example in my head. Like, it definitely was on my mind because I found out from Wikipedia like 10 minutes prior to watching the movie that Tom Tom Club was part of the Talking Heads or like a subdivision kind of breakaway thing. Which I did not previously know, but I had that in my mind as like, that's an example of a song that is like random and pretty like meaning light. That is just kind of chaotic, whatever. And
people aren't writing their college thesis on Genius of Love, aesthetic. Right?
They could, like, it's like, I like, I'm a real sucker for songs about, like, this is like a Mitski conversation, but, like, songs that are, like,
we can have that
I don't know
conversation.
if compulsory heterosexuality is the right term. Like, the female thing of, like, there's a Mitski song called Me and My Husband that is, like...
I like that song quite a bit.
I feel like that's the same genre in my mind, like, theming-wise. Like, it's, like... kind of like the rules and expectations of like being a woman, like that's really like my takeaway in that song. Like it's starting with the setting of like contrasting jail with being a silly girl that has fun,
right?
And then there's a lot of like repeated, like we just keep going back and back to the like this boyfriend and like I'm in heaven with my boyfriend, my lovely boyfriend. It's all just about like how perfect her boyfriend is and fixes it. Like it feels very sarcastic. Like it feels.
I think it is, or that's like
and
part of the intention.
It's not necessarily like deep, but it's like I just like I like surrounding myself in that aesthetic a lot. So it's like that. I think that's why it hits for me in a way that like I guess I don't fully. And that's where I think you can still sell me on the Talking Heads, is if you can sell me on the aesthetic, because I think I don't fully get it, potentially, and it just reads as really bland. And I'm like, I'm not sure what we're really, like, you know.
I think there's a quality to how they're all dressed and how they, I made fun of it earlier, but how they're like, it's a multiracial band, right? Or at least performance. Right. And it's everyone vibing together, and there's like, there never feels like, even when they're seemingly competing, like guitarist versus guitarist, it always feels like good fun, right? I think the song we haven't talked about that is like the standout moment of the Stop Making Sense movie, as opposed to like their music in general, is This Must Be the Place, which is the song where he's dancing with the lamp. like that is, I think, generally cited as like the best moment. You hate this song, right? Is that what you're gonna tell me right now?
I'm having a Venom Spider-Man moment where every like thing of my body was like, I could just say mid right now. It would be so mean. It was more of an intrusive thought than an actual, but it was pretty. I was like, I liked the dance. Don't get me wrong, it was cool.
I think that like we're all a family, while a very generic thought, is at the backbone of the whole deal, right? It's a bunch of people who come together and make music and are living in a moment, right? I found you, you found me. I'm not going to quote any other lyrics. That's really lame. But like that.
You should. Come on. Nah. We're not going to talk about music. We're not going to quote lyrics.
We're going to quote lyrics. It, to me, like it's warm and it's kind and it's just evokes, like, it just makes me happy. I don't know how else to say it. And that is I think what they're going for most often in the whole performance, right? It's about people coming together. It's like building up into something grand and beautiful and exciting. And the way that the whole film is structured, with it being like one guy on his own with a guitar, and they're playing Psycho Killer, which is like one of their more dark songs, right? Like he's almost like this, I keep calling him an alien because he's just such a weird person. He looks like Cillian Murphy, by the way. Every time I see him, I think of Cillian Murphy.
I don't know who Cillian Murphy is. I should Google that. And I'm going to. I have like a running list of people that I think he looks like at different points of the.
He's got that like heroin chic, like really taut face.
Oh, I do know this person. Yeah.
And he look.
Yeah, that is. Yeah.
And the way he's lit, like with the like kind of like harsh shadows, like he just seems like this really weird, off-putting person. And I think in real life he is a weird, off-putting person. But
there's a moment where he's angled like this, and his hair's like that, and he looks like the lead singer. He looks like Ezra Koenig, who's the lead singer of Vampire Weekend, for like a split second.
Mm-hmm.
But Ezra's face is rounder, so it's because he's positioned like this.
Right.
And then at another point, oh no, who does he look like? Just because I gotta get this out.
This didn't make the notepad?
I definitely wrote it down. Oh, he looked like Jordan Peterson for a split second.
That's
I got
funny.
Jump scared for like a split second. I don't think he broadly looks like Jordan Peterson, but there was a split second where he like looked over, like very haggard, and I was like, he's like awoken from like a meat coma to like destroy trans rights yet again. I was like,
well, so like it starts out, he's solo person on stage, right? Then you get Tina Weymouth, then you get the drummer whose name I never remember, and then you get the backing singers and the other guitarist, and like it builds and builds and builds, and they add a member every single song for a long time. Like that's what they're doing. Yeah. And
I like that they don't go away.
Right.
It's what was one of my notes.
Well, and like the songs are getting more complex as they're being introduced, right? Like it's more instruments are being added. This is also why I think that like the progression of the film is like immaculate. Like that's why I think people should put more effort into how albums are experienced. But by the time it ends and it's this Cross-Eyed and Painless, which seems to go on forever, like the final song of the album or of the concert, and that's when you finally see the crowd, and it's like they introduce the last element of the experience, which is like you, the viewer.
Yeah,
I think that was a happy accident, because apparently this also cheats. I should say that. Like this is 3 performances spliced together. But it's really only 2. Because one of them, they lit the arena venue differently so that they could film the crowd. And I think the quote from David Byrne is that was the worst performance we've ever given ever. Because they were so blinded by like the lights that they couldn't see the crowd at all, and they couldn't like react to them. So they don't use that footage almost ever, because it's like
they don't use the performance.
They don't use that performance in the edit very often because the band was off. because of this lighting issue. But they incorporate the crowd in the last song as like the final member of the band is the crowd, right? But it's like it carries that idea with it throughout the entire. It's almost like a play as opposed to like a concert. But like that's all of that to me like jumps out at me as like very exciting and interesting. And it's just it is vague. We're back to like looking at a red square and saying, what does this make you feel? But it is like camaraderie, family, like something like meaningful connection with people. Like you had to be there kind of moment, but they somehow caught it on film.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
That's all I want. That's the end of my thought.
See, like, I think when they showed the crowd, that was one of my favorite parts that made me be like, I wish they showed it the whole way. And I understand, like, what you're saying of, like, oh, it's, like, this building and momentum. But, like, to me, seeing the crowd was, like, oh, like, okay, people like this. Like,
right.
I was, like, I was kind of, like, yeah, and it's, like, if I've ever been at a concert where I don't necessarily like the artist, but everyone around me is vibing, I will vibe. Like, I'm having a good time. Like
I think I benefited from the fact that I first saw this in a movie theater for that same reason. Even though there were like 10 people in the theater because it was 10 o'clock at night, everyone was like excited. These were the talking heads that I didn't know existed. And I think that also like contributed for me.
The cast of the talking heads cast were
this movie feels like going to see a movie. Does that make sense?
I see what you mean in that it's
a shared experience that's also like feels unique and like one of one, connecting with art with strangers, and that being incorporated into the experience itself.
Yeah.
Welcome to my college thesis.
I think that so like a note that I had. Some of these are written a little bit more mean. Yeah,
okay. Hit it.
So there's this one part where they show this wide shot with like the cool shadows, and it's pretty deep into the song, and I was like, I wish they showed more of that, and I was kind of like, there was a point around there where I started wishing for a neutral camera. I understand that like, it's a very unique and cool. But I feel like I watched so many concert videos where it is pretty much like
it's just a stage,
camera, like,
right? You're getting it like you're the best seat in the house, but that's like it's not going to move.
And I kind of enjoy it because you can kind of like focus on what you want to focus on and like drift a little bit more. And there's a note that I wrote that like I wish there was a more neutral camera so I could choose what to look at. I think a lot of my resentment is coming from the amount of time I'm stuck looking at this one guy versus if I had the option to choose to look at him, I might feel differently. That's what I wrote. That's pretty mad, but like I still kind of feel that way where I'm like, I feel like trapped with him, and every time it cuts to someone else, I'm like really excited, but it spends a lot of time on him. So then I'm just like, I just want like a little bit more.
To me, I feel like it gives you so many moments of like other people. Like I'm never paying attention to like the keyboardist when I'm watching a concert, but in this movie, I love the keyboardist. Like I'm like, this dude rocks.
See, I am in real life,
right,
or on a video because you can, but like it's I like, it's cool and unique that they had a guy with a camera running around on the stage, and I like that they did that. But I'm also like, I feel like if I saw this, that was like the thought I kept having. I was like, I feel like if I was here live, I would be vibing a lot more because I would be surrounded by the crowd that was vibing too. I would be able to dance more. One thing I did throughout the thing where whenever I was feeling like curmudgeon-y and like I wasn't enjoying it, was I would start to dance because I would be like, that's what I do at a concert to make myself feel better. It's like, I feel like if I was with people dancing and then I could just like, I could vibe with like different people in the band the whole time and didn't feel like stuck with the lead singer, like, yeah, it might have changed my feelings, I guess. I don't know.
There are definitely like long stretches where you're just focusing on David, but like, I don't know. The fact that one of like the 3 times or 4 times that Stop Making Sense is said in Girlfriend is Better is focusing on him giving the mic to a lighting guy. Did you catch that?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that was really funny. I think that like and he is doing a lot of funny and cool stuff.
Right. Well, he's moving
his...
around the stage constantly, right? So like now
yeah.
you're here with the bassist, and now you're here with the other guitarist or the percussionist. He's behind the stage. He's back interacting with the backup singers. Like, to me, I got enough of that. Like, even it's like he's taking me on a tour. It's like the Architectural Digest of the Talking Heads band experience, where it's like, come look at my fireplace and my basket of oranges and what have you.
It's a little chicken and egg, because I think if I didn't have this weird resentment towards him, I wouldn't have disliked that it, or even noticed that it focused that much on him. And then because I was stuck with him, it just like built. So it's like, I don't know. But yeah, it's really hard to put, because like I watched some interviews with him. Like I watched some like interviews in the past. I watched some in the present day. And I was like, I think I like the guy. You know, I don't think he's...
I don't think like, the band likes him. Like, they've like a tumultuous relationship now.
It seems pretty tumultuous. From what I could read, like, it feels... So, like, one thing is that he has, like, been pretty public about the fact that he has, like, Asperger's and, like, is on the autism spectrum. Like,
I was wondering if that came up in your research.
There's a lot of, like, the communications where, like... Or, like, when you hear stuff that's, like, said by other members of the band, where it's, like, if you read it with that context in mind, you're kind of, like, a lot of this might have been caused by miscommunications and misunderstandings based on it. Like, that seems like a huge factor. So
I also believe his autism
I'm not inclined to...
I don't believe it was diagnosed at the time that they were all making music together, right? So, like, that's part of it.
Of course, yeah. So I would be very surprised if that was not a contributing factor. So I try not to like let their statements hold so much weight in terms of like shaping my opinion on him. Like I think he's an alright dude. Like the stuff he was talking about, I think I like older him better. He's very friendly.
He does seem friendly.
I think there are a couple things that
interviews,
yeah. There's a couple things that young David Byrne said that I was like, I don't vibe with it. Like, his criticism of Genius of Love was that, oh, you're like appealing to a mass market. It's like, get over yourself, bro. Like, so are you. Like,
anyway, here's Once in a Lifetime.
Yeah, and like, it's like, yeah, like, oh, you made a song that sold a lot. It's like, dude, that just sounds jealous. I don't know.
The David Byrne image I think of all the time that I came across shortly after like my fourth watch of this movie is him in the delivery room with the band, where Tina Weymouth, the bassist, who I think has the most animosity towards him, has like just given birth, and it's like everyone crowded around her, very excited and happy, and he just looks like really awkward and miserable. And it's like, okay, I could see how this would be if you don't, have the understanding of the 2020s of the autism spectrum. I could see being like, fuck this dude.
Yeah. No, totally. I think I will say also that was because when you're saying about like the feeling of like being like a family in a group, I was real keyed in on Tina. I'm not like a super fan of Tina Weymouth, but one of my favorite like D&D players of online D&D players, Emily Axford, talks about Tina Weymouth a lot.
That's awesome.
Because her character plays bass and is trying to start a bass-led band in the series Fantasy High, and like she just has always been like Tina Weymouth, like that's the inspiration, Tina Weymouth. And like when all of a sudden, like I never connected these pieces. I never connected the name Tina Weymouth / baseless band with the Tom Tom Club with
Talking Heads,
and like all of those connections suddenly came together. I was like, whoa! So I was like, I'm super keen on Tina Weymouth, and I like her outfit a lot. First of all, I do have to say, if I had like the hand warmers, I would have been wearing that because it's cool. but I think that like I don't know, she doesn't seem super jazzed a lot of the time. She seems like the least smiling one. That could be anything. It could be stage jitters and nervousness. It could be she just had a fight with David Byrne in the back and they're not on good terms and she doesn't feel like she's part of the family. But to me, like, I was very keyed in on her emotional state and being like, ooh, like, and also I think I'm just like, I'm very sensitive about it because I didn't have the context of their beef going into it, but I'm also like, I'm sensitive to, like, you know, women performing, and I'm like, oh, is she, like, how does she feel about, like, going on a stage? Like, what is her life like at this time at the peak of the band's popularity? Like, that's immediately where my mind goes, and that's not a fun place to be. Like, that's just, so I think that might have also shaped my, like, perception of things.
Something that's, like, jumped out to me reading about the Talking Heads is that she was not an instrument person before the band.
Yes.
Like, she taught herself how to play bass to play in the Talking Heads. And so I always get this, like, maybe a lack of confidence when I watch her play and perform in this and in, like, the other live performances I've watched. But at the same time, we were talking about, like, who jumps out to you when you're watching and how, like, for me it shifts every time. I think she is the person people connect with the most outside of David Byrne in general, and then also in Stop Making Sense. Like, I always, anytime I read about this movie, it's like Tina Weymouth, and I kind of agree because she's a really good bassist.
No, she's really cool, and it is really, like, unique, and, like, I mean, she's doing the bass led thing. Like, I think that made me appreciate that more about, like, Genius of Love, and also the Talking Head songs, like even Psycho Killer, you know, like that is, like, a very, like, the bass is sick in that song, and like, also, like, reading about, like, how it was written, like, it's the parts I like about Psycho Killer were seemingly inspired by her. I'm like, cool.
Elaborate on that.
Thought of this is like a snippet I read, and this is from Tina Weymouth's perspective, so there may be different, like, everyone in the band says I wrote the classic thing,
right?
But she said that she was the one that introduced, like, the kind of, like, Norman Bates angle, and she also introduced the reason why Psycho Killer is a good song is because they say qu'est-ce que c'est fa 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 fa, and it's because they switched to French.
Yes.
And she was the one that had the idea of, like, the French side is, like, the Jekyll and Hyde thing, and the way to signify the Jekyll and Hyde thing is to, like, switch languages. So I'm like, okay, so the two parts that I like about the song, that it's, like, about a psycho killer, and that it has French in it, were both introduced by her.
By Tina Weymouth.
And then the most, like, weird and interesting part of the song that I do like, but I'm not, like, that is not the reason why I like the song, is the, like, you start a conversation you can't even finish, like, that verse. But then learning that, is his name David Byrne?
It is, yeah.
I had, like, a
learning that he has communication issues, right?
Yeah, learning that he's, like, on the autism spectrum. I'm like, that verse is very, like, anti-small talk, like, coded. I was like, it made me appreciate the verse a lot more. I think it's really cool.
The impression I get from, like, watching the band speak together and versus, like, watching Stop Making Sense is that David Byrne becomes a human through music, and that's it. But when he's on stage and he's, like, smiling and, like, staring into the soul of his bandmates, it seems like he brings a lot out of the rest of them, and that they bring a lot out of him. Like, I've seen interpretations of this movie that is essentially, like, you start as the psycho killer and you end cross-eyed and painless. Like, you end, like, this warmer, more human, more soulful person, right? And as also part of a collective, but not in, like, a negative way, but part of, like, something bigger than yourself.
Yeah, no, there's a real beauty, and, like, I mean, that's one of the, like, things that I love so much about live performances. Yeah, like, every time you're doing a live performance, it is truly unique, and, like, I think that's why, like, the concert tours that are hitting every possible city in like the United States are gonna fall a lot flatter because it's just like you're not getting the same thing. But like, yeah, it's like even a single artist performing is connecting with like the audience. Like it cannot exist. It can only exist with that unique combination of people with everything that everyone is bringing to the table. You know, like
crowd included, I would say.
Cool. Yeah, crowd included, band members included, like, and that's why I think band members enhance it so much, and that's why I like instruments, and I'm pro instruments in my live performances. But yeah, we gotta talk about Once in a Lifetime.
Okay, we could probably end on that, I think.
Yeah, before we do, I have a small comment, and this is like really controversial, and I shouldn't say it, but the guitarist guy with the curly hair reminds me of Mark Zuckerberg. And then I said, if there's no allegations against him, I will eat paper on this podcast. And I couldn't find any.
Wow. So you gotta like check your baggage at the door a little bit here.
That is the perfect note to enter the ones that I'm just gonna get some paper. So there we go. This is a tissue. I hope that counts. I'm sorry to the guitarists of the Talking Heads.
Is that you eating your notes?
I'm just eating a tissue because I, made a false accusation based on vibes.
I don't know. I don't like the direction this is going.
We should maybe cut this, but...
No, absolutely not. I don't understand the bit. No one watching understands the bit.
It's an intrusive thought that I had when I was watching it. I thought, that guy has fucking allegations, and that's just because I'm biased.
Because he looks like Mark Zuckerberg.
That is just me, like, not trusting Mark Zuckerberg or people that look like him.
Meanwhile, I'm looking at David Byrne, and I'm like, he's Oppenheimer. Like, he has control of the atomic bomb, and
he does have control of the atomic bomb. Okay, Once in a Lifetime. I have been getting more into it. I think the part that's bad is the chorus. I hate the chorus. And I like the lyrics, obviously, you know, the water running underground is more forever than the like having a beautiful wife and a beautiful house. But I don't mind like the you know the like the melody, like the
and yes, where it gets like it sounds like you're at a Benihana.
Yeah, and then they're like bum 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 bum. I like that on its own, and I don't mind him going. And you may find yourself with a little arch in your back, and you may find yourself
needing a chiropractor.
Yeah.
And you may find yourself wearing a suit that is too big.
And you may find yourself falsely accusing a man who did nothing wrong. And you may say, my God, what have I done?
Let's keep it going. Where else may David Byrne find himself?
Okay,
you may find yourself at a drive-thru where you can't understand the speaker. And you may find yourself asking for no ketchup.
And you may find yourself taking a huge bite with a mouthful of ketchup.
And you don't even like ketchup. Anyway, Once in a Lifetime. You're coming around on it. Does Stop Making Sense have any reason for that, or just you listening to the song in general?
I think just me listening to the song. So I think that's a testament to, like, when you keep listening to songs, they get better. Mm-hmm. And when you didn't like a song, like, years ago, and then you come back to it, it gets better. And I think that another thing that I realized... So that here's the thing of, like, why I might... Like, all these opinions might be loaded, and I might have all this baggage, and I might not like it, is because I don't like my dad. I've referenced that at the beginning.
Yes.
And my dad listened to, like, Days Go By. Oh, my God.
Once in a Lifetime.
Just said the name of the song. Once in a Lifetime. He listened to Once in a Lifetime a lot at a certain point, and he sang it a lot. and he was like, and he said, and he would like lean over and he would be like, "This song's awesome," like that, and and like, so he really like, I was like 14 probably, and he was like really was like hammering home like, you're gonna listen to these lyrics and think about them, and I did. And so I think I associated it with him and associated it with him having like some sort of midlife crisis, and it sucks to like think that he would have any kind of awareness of that and then be like, yeah, I guess I found myself with complete meaningless in my life and I'm just gonna not change. But then I realized that I was going through the discography, reading up, trying to figure things out. There's this album that David Byrne and Brian Eno released.
Yes.
And the cover is like a red house, and it's crazy that I don't have the name just like accessible when I knew
I also don't. But one of the songs off of that is in this.
Everything. Yes, everything that happens will happen today, and it's this album, and that came out in 2008, and my dad listened to that a lot, and that's how I learned the names David Byrne and Brian Eno. Like, I didn't know that they were the same as the Talking Heads even. Like, I just like was very familiar with that album, and that's probably why he started listening to that song, is because it came out in 2008. So I was like, maybe he wasn't necessarily having a midlife crisis. Maybe he just liked that song because it came out when he was 20.
Right.
And then this new project came out in 2008. And then he started listening to the song again. And it wasn't that deep. So there you go.
And now you love the Talking Heads.
And now I loved it. And now I'm changed.
I've been holding back this entire podcast. I'm gonna scream and yell. No, I said that like it's all about the movie. I've also come to really like the music.
Well, that's what I thought, right?
Yeah, no, it's been the number one on my Spotify Wrapped for 2 years now. A lot of their music has been like the soundtrack to me training for my first marathon. There's another live performance in much crappier quality of them in Rome, like a year before this. I'm talking like a potato shot this movie or this concert. Like, it is horrible. It's grainy. It's got like burnt in graphics coming up on it. It is terrible. But it's maybe some of the best like instrumentality I've ever heard in my life, and I'm like, this is incredible. And they have like a different backing vocalist who's just crazy, and they have a guitarist from King Crimson is on that tour, and it's just like this insane performance that has been like the soundtrack to my life for 2 years now. Music
that's
be
why
good.
It's cool. It's cool that it's such a high quality performance captured. But I'm also glad that you're just appreciating like watching, because like I've watched so many, like, whenever we got to talk about Uplift Spice at some point, but she's on a step ladder in the middle of Shibuya with like a mic, just like screaming into the mic, and then she like just swan dives into the crowd, like, you know, and it's such bad quality, and there's leaving artifacts, and I've watched that video like so many times.
Have you ever?
You feel it.
Oh, the other day I was watching. You mentioned Tyler earlier, but you know the Tyler the Creator performance at House of Blues where he breaks his foot.
Oh my god, yeah, that's the because he's like diving, right?
I think it's before he dives, but he breaks his foot, and then he like gets it like wrapped, and then he keeps performing, and then he like after the concert he's like, I gotta go to the hospital.
That's crazy. I think I missed that one. That sounds.
I'm not saying art is not still out there for those to find it.
Yeah, that's my biggest thing I want to push out on, is like it's ruined life. I'm like, I feel like you watch more live shows, you'll be like, there's hope in this.
Yeah, and I've watched a lot of live music. I mean is like this has given me more of an appreciation for bands that go for it, and an extreme distaste for let's play the hits and go, like that kind of experience.
That makes sense. Yeah, for sure. That makes sense. Vampire Weekend did that to me once, and
where they played the hits.
I've been to a really good Vampire Weekend concert and a really not good one before.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I feel like it's about time we rated and ranked and categorized, because on this podcast we're not allowed to stop making sense. We have to make everything fall into neat little columns and, dissect and rate and rank.
I'm really excited to see the first entry into the sale tier, I'm just really excited. Just know, Mallory, I'm never giving you a good suggestion again. Like, from here on out, it's the worst things I've ever seen. We're watching Human Centipede. We're watching a Serbian film. Like,
Don't even joke about that. Don't even joke about Human Centipede. That would be so much. The problem with Human Centipede is then I'm going to be thinking it, like, because it's not. Even if I don't look at it, and I won't, even if I don't look at it, I will think about it a lot.
I've never seen that movie.
I never will.
Which is
why I'm putting Don't Stop Making Sense in the best possible tier.
Listen, you wanted to bring like vengeance selections to this. It's coming.
Well, I feel like here's the thing. So far, I feel like we've kind of pretty much liked what we recommended to each other. So this does feel like first blood.
Yes.
This feels like the first.
I'm taking it as a personal
attack. Feel like the first strike. That said, my lowest tier, and this is why I like naming my tiers, rather than having A, B, C, D, because like it allows me to like feel emotionally the feeling that I should be feeling about the tier very clearly, and also because I think I just don't watch a lot of like tier ranking. The only one is Fawn, my favorite YouTuber, who I'm just mentioning every podcast now, but like like having names for tiers help me fill it out. So my lowest tier is called Ew. It's not you. Like,
I would kill you.
That's so mean. I would never do that. Like, I feel like if it's Ew, like that's implying there's like, I don't know, like something like ethically or morally wrong happening. Probably is what is the criteria to be in there.
Do your worst.
My heart says okay, so I think I have to put it in okay, which is the second lowest tier. I don't think I can put it in cute. If I'm comparing to Solonin, I think I liked it Solonin more, and I was more inclined to want to go back. And I don't think that I want to go back to this, is my feeling.
Okay.
Oh, the darkness has really settled over our little project here. This is really we've taken a turn.
I will never open my heart out. Open my heart to this podcast ever again.
But it's just for me. Like I'm
kidding.
The thing that it boils down to is the aesthetic and just not liking the aesthetic. And what can you do? Like, there's just nothing you can do to. It's such an unovercomable hurdle that it's like, yeah, there's no meaning, and it just doesn't make sense why it's in there.
Boo.
Are you enjoying these like little?
Oh, brother, this girl stinks.
And I'm really like, the tissue's not going down.
Why did you eat a tissue? I still don't understand what that was for.
Did I have a dream about writing a message to myself that I ate paper? This is the most confusing thing that's happened on this podcast.
The podcast ended like 5 minutes ago. We have to do your pitch still.
So, time for the pitch. So,
it's an F.
This is a heavy episode. This is really deep, and like, I wish I could say I was easing tensions, and I wish I could say that.
You're putting missiles in Cuba like right now. Like, I've got some missiles in Turkey. You've got some missiles in Cuba.
You know when Jesus got slapped and he was like he turned the other cheek? Like,
yes.
I wish that that's what I was doing, but I'm not slapping you, but I'm not being like, I love you, like Jesus would, if that makes sense.
Is your pitch a slap?
I'm acting in my own self-interest, is what I will say with this pitch.
I understand.
So, you may recall I was very, very excited about the fact that my next pitch would come out on Valentine's Day. Because there's a lot in the romance genre that I want to explore. So that's pretty much where we're at. We've been doing different genres every week so far of, like, media.
Uh-huh.
Do anime and, like, TV show drama count as the same, like, live action TV show count as the same medium, or are they different mediums?
I don't think it really matters. Like, that wasn't a rule. That's just what we've done so far.
It's not, but I may be breaking this streak because I am thinking to recommend a live action TV series.
Okay.
So,
do your thing. I mean, I have no control over what I have to watch this week.
The tissue's going down now. See? All is forgiven.
What am I watching? Like, just tell me.
Yeah, I don't know why I feel the need to milk it out. This has already gone up. This has been a disaster. This week, we're going to watch Heartstopper. It's the most romantic, most beautiful, just sweetest, most wholesome thing ever. And it makes me happy around Valentine's Day. I love love. I love Valentine's Day. Single, coupled, whatever. I always love Valentine's Day because it's just a celebration of love. And that's what Heartstopper is. And it's the best ever. And all the cool, like, if there are any, like, cool, like, gay people that are watching this after we did the What's Happens Next episode and thinking, like, oh, I'm excited to see what subversive queer media you're going to do next. It's like, no, we're doing the one that's just happy and good.
The most basic one ever.
Yes.
I see.
So that's my pitch.
Okay. Heartstopper's next week.
8 episodes. Yeah. I will warn you, you're going to want to watch it 4 and 4 because they get you with the cliffhangers on this. You're not going to want to, like, you're going to want to keep watching, and they do a perfect thing where at episode 4 they give you enough room to breathe where you can, like, put it down and pick it back up. That's just my recommendation.
I don't know if I have 4 hours of Heartstoppers in me at a time.
This brings things out of you. You're like, I gotta know what happens. It's the best. And I'm excited to talk about it next week.
Same time
Until
next week.
Until then, good evening, Sam.
Good morning, Mallory. That was the opposite of what we're
I
supposed
fully
to
swallowed
do.
the tissue.
Did you?
Oh, shit. Good day, Sam.
That all has to stay in. Good evening, Mallory. We're done. Cut the feed.
Cut.